You are listening to the In Kinship podcast, a podcast for makers who crave a vibrant life on their own terms. I'm your host, Tina Vandenberg, and today, on one of our special live episodes, I had the pleasure of talking with Nan Webb, the cloth merchant. I love that term that you have on your website, by the name of Bolt and Spool. You can check out her website, bolt.com. Nan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tina. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here for my second debut.
Yeah, so Leanne joined our Break the Rules of Sewing series, which of those of you who were part of it, we had a live session. It was super fun, really authentic and vulnerable. And Nan has a wonderful sense of humor, which you're going to find out here in the show. And then we had technical difficulties and it didn't record for us. So I wanted to have her back because one, the folks that were there or were not able to join us live, they missed out on talking or hearing from you. And two, I wanted my greater podcast to be able to hear from you as well. So
Thank you.
welcome.
This is like the dream sequence, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So those of you who are here with us live, as always, you're welcome to post any comments you want in the chat. At the end, we'll do a little Q&A with Nan, and you can ask any question you want. And I imagine you might have a few because Nan owns a beautiful brick and mortar fabric store, which I've not visited in person, but I have seen her website presence, and it's just beautiful. So I know that that's probably a secret dream of a lot of us to like be able to run our hands through fabric all day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we pet it a lot.
So in the end, tell us a little bit about yourself, about who you are as a maker and what it is you love to create with your two hands.
Oh, my God. I'm a crazy maker. I like to do everything, but the one thing that seems to have been consistent throughout my life has been sewing. I never seem to get tired of it. I might take breaks or do different things with sewing. Maybe I need a quick win and I'll make a little zipper pouch or an apron. But I have really bad ADHD, so I tend to start and stop and pick up, and I've got my hands in any number of projects at the same time. But I just recently read that that's a really cool thing because it's not that you have, I mean, you do have a bunch of projects started, but you go back to them based on your energy level. So maybe you've got a lot of energy and you feel like, oh, I'm going to tackle something big that takes a lot of thought or precision. So maybe you make a coat or something tailored. Or you just need that. I just have to make something really fast. And so you just pick something up maybe that you started a while ago and just do a few stitches on like handwork or something. So I love that you invited me on initially for the Break the Rules because I really don't follow rules. I always hated being told what to do.
I understand that.
Yes. Yeah.
Before you move on, there's a little point I wanted to make, which I think is really fascinating that you bring that up because I just had a retreat on Mackinac Island last week.
Oh, I saw that. That looked delicious. Yes. Yeah.
It was delightful. It always is. It's just amazing. And we keep making it longer and longer. So this time they're like, let's add one more day. I'm like, we are already at 6 days. I think we need to stop. But so we do have a really great time. But one, we were talking about projects and we always have like a mindfulness kind of women's circle at the beginning. Where we're talking about like the pressure of having projects that maybe you don't finish. Sorry about that. And one of the students there mentioned that she has really just giving herself grace. She's like, if I start a project and I don't finish it, then that was all that project was meant for me. And I
like that.
go with ease. Like I just let maybe it even leaves her like totally. Like she might toss it out or she might throw it out or recycle it or do whatever she needs to do. But she's let herself just have the joy of starting the project. And if she no longer has the joy to finish it or the joy to work through it, like she doesn't give herself pressure to do that, like knowing that she will finish things. It's not like she never finishes anything.
Right. When the time comes, you get it done. But
some of them maybe you don't get done. Maybe that's
yeah. And then you grow, and it's like reading a book. Maybe you start it and I'm not that into it. You put it down. Maybe you pick it back up later. Maybe it speaks to you later. Maybe you just bail, donate it or something. But no, I like that a lot. I like that.
We can have so much pressure, right? To like finish things. You got to finish what you start. But it's like, do we? Do we have to finish all the things we start?
Oh God, that would be oppressive. No. And then the other big pressure that this conjures is the perception that everything has to be perfect. And oh, pick it out if it's not, if you make a mistake. And that's one thing I've really been working hard at, is to just let it be. It's okay if there's a pucker. Um, and I did also a retreat this summer. I was an attendee at a Gathering of Stitches retreat in Maine. It
Oh, yeah.
was, it was just so exquisite. Probably similar. I think they're on the same latitude as Mackinac, but to one of the instructors was like, I'm just taking my thread for a walk. And, so you don't have the pressure of go back and fix it. It's just leave it there. Just keep walking it. And
Yeah.
I loved that visual and try to keep that mindful when I'm working. And
I
so
love
yeah.
I love that. Okay, so you mentioned you were talking about your making. We got a little off track, which is exactly
That's me.
where I like to go. I love to go.
Yeah.
And it's apropos to bring something in. I'm grateful to be able to do that. So you were sharing that you are primarily a garment sewist, right? But occasionally you will sew a bag or a apron or something that just kind of like feels like an inspiration at the moment. How else do you like to create? What else do you do to make things?
Oh, well, okay. So I have Pinterest boards for things that I like to do. So Bolt and Spool Pinterest boards, and there you will see a plethora of the things I like. So playing with paper, I love, well, textural things and things that are surface designed, like all that kind of stuff is just yum. Right now I'm working on a store display for the holidays, and I took all these empty fabric boards and I'm making a little cityscape like of the skyline of Amsterdam or something. So they're
Yeah.
all, I cut them down. So I have not bought anything new. I'm repurposing. So I paper mache them over the weekend with their little fun roofs. So we'll see how that turns out. So that was very fun to do. I did it outside. What else do I like to do? Cross stitch, embroidery. I like to knit sweaters and things. I like to wear stuff. And I did at that retreat over the summer, learned how to do improv quilting, which I've always poo-pooed quilting, but it was really fun because it was very liberating to just cut stuff up and, you'd sew it and she'd be like, oh, it was with Tara Fawnan. She does some patterns. She's out in California. She was right. She's like, you don't like it? Rip it apart. Okay. Yeah. But that was really fun just to not have a pattern and just rotary cut and stick and stitch and yeah. So all different things. I'm sure there's more gardening,
Very
bike riding, golfing. I don't know.
all
Just
the
keep
things.
all the
So
things.
I have a question for you about poo-pooing quilting. Where does that come from? Is that because this is my take on it? Because I also am not a quilter. So like
Really?
this is our like non-quilting club right now.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
is it
This makes me
because of
feel
all the
better.
rules? Is it because it's so precise? Is that why?
Oh, that could be. I don't like the fabric.
Okay.
I'm a fabric snob. I don't like the feel of the fabric. And I don't like how matchy it is. I showed somebody was in the store one time who was a big quilter, and we tear our fabric when we sell it because
Yep.
it gets you the grain. She's a guest, and she's like, well, what? Show me something that you do like out of these quilts. So I pulled something out that I liked out of a book, and she's like, oh, you like scrappy quilting? Like, book doesn't have to match. So to my detriment, I probably don't have a great quilting following because I don't buy the entire line of what do they call them? I can't think of the word. When they have all the things that match in a scheme. I
Oh,
can't think of the word. Anyways, so I just buy the ones that I like, and I have my vendors that I like the feel of the fabric. Maybe it's organic, eco made in the United States, like I like to be as sustainable as you can possibly be. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't like the fabric and the retro. It's just kind of moody vibes when you get into that. I don't know. It just seems dark.
Oh,
No, it's supposed to be comforting, I think. But I like happier things.
I love it. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is so intriguing because okay, well, okay, I'm
Why
gonna
don't you like quilting?
what?
Why don't you like quilting?
Excuse me. I think it's very similar in some ways. It's not the fabric so much. And I do think of quilting as like the quilting fabrics I can think of because I wear really moody fabrics, right? I wear like love like a dusty rose.
Oh yeah.
I li- I like a lot of jewel tones, and if they're sort of saddened a little bit, they have a little black in them. That's actually one of my favorite colorways as well. So it's interesting. So I think of quilts as like sometimes I have so much color that I find them
Oh,
sort of overwhelming that way. But really, scrap quilts are my favorite as well. So that's kind of interesting. I don't always love all the patterns. Occasionally, I'll see a quilt that maybe has a white background and it's using texture. So maybe it has all the pieces, but they're all like in a white and they just have a few pops of
yes.
color here and there. I find those really attractive.
I agree. Yeah.
So I think they're too busy for me, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
typically. I've
Yeah.
seen them done in a way where I can like somebody who has just a master of color flow and can really put them together in a way. I have seen that where I'm like, wow, that's a really beautiful quilt. And
Yeah.
I love my grandmother quilted. I love her quilts that might still exist. And I made a
Yeah. And else attached to that
yeah,
too, something sentimental.
yeah,
Oh, well, I do like, so one of the instructors that I met over, because I took this because I wanted to learn about the quilting and stuff, but I also took it because this wonderful woman, Sarah Hibbert, she has Quilting Cornerstone, and her things are beautiful if anybody wants to look her up. Quilting Cornerstone, she's a British woman, just absolutely lovely. And she uses linen in her quilts.
yeah,
So not as much going on, but she has little pops of color similar to what you were saying. So the
yeah.
textures are lovely and it's very purpose, but not what she does. I don't know. People can look her up.
Yeah, we're gonna
They're not
link.
looking at me, but um yeah, so her things were beautiful. The other thing with the actual act of quilting is the mess it makes. There are all these little tiny pieces and there's a lot to clean up,
Right. I can see
you
that.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. All right. So you mentioned your store and you mentioned that you maybe don't have a huge quilting following because you don't focus on the whole colorway or whatever that was that you
Oh,
were.
the collection. I thought of the word collection. Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's back up for a minute and tell
Okay.
us that your store opened in 2010 and it's
Mhm.
a brick and mortar store, but you also have a website presence. People can order from you online.
Yes.
And I do want to mention real quick before I forget is one of the beautiful things that you had talked about in the Breakthroughs of Sewing, because some of the guests on that show were like, I hate ordering fabric online. I never know what to do. That's my most like frightening part of the whole process.
Oh,
And you're
oh.
exactly. You're like, this is my favorite part. And you really encourage people to call the store
Oh,
and
they can, yeah. We can we walk through people all the time. What we've got. And since we've spoken, we have a swatch service too. I can send out 5 swatches for free. We put them on a little card and label everything with the width and the weight and what you need to know.
yeah,
Yeah, and then you can pet them in person. Yeah. Yeah.
perfect, which is
Nice.
perfect. So tell us,
Check
uh,
out the Modern Quilt Guild. I will. I think I just filled out an application to join.
you are really branching out into the quilting world. Look at you.
Well, yeah. Yes and no.
Okay, so bring us back to 2010 before you open the books, or excuse me, I had a bookstore. You have a fabric store.
Oh, that's another fun thing to have.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I was 25 when I opened a bookstore and I had it for just 4 years. But and then
Oh,
it was in 2007 and like the economy had
yeah.
tanked and that's when I closed it down. But 2010, you are about to open the fabric store. What was the impetus for starting a fabric store? And just walk us through what it feels.
Yeah. So I guess, well, back up to me in high school. Okay, back up to me being 7. I have older sisters that sew. They'd make their prom dresses and their homecoming dresses. And I think if that's my sister on MP iPhone, that's the one of the ones I'm talking about. She was homecoming queen and she made her dress.
Wow.
So I had them to look up to and I had aunts that sewed. My mom mostly swore when she sewed, pardon my French. And so I grew up thinking damn was a French word. But no, so I played with their scraps and made stuff for my Barbies. And then I really started sewing clothes probably in high school because I had taste that was bigger than the pocketbook probably. And then on to when I got a real job after college. But I really wanted to be a fashion designer, I think, when I was in high school. And no, that was not going over. I needed a bread and butter major. So I majored in journalism. And I did love that because that's creative and I got to talk to people. Yeah. And then I did my MBA after I worked for 5 years. And I worked in finance and corporate banking, which was horrendous. And then I quit and then I had kids. And it was when I had my younger child was leaving for kindergarten that I decided I needed to do this because I was playing with all of their projects, their school projects. And they were like, this is mine, Mom. Get your own project. So I needed something, an outlet. I needed a creative outlet. But we would also, my husband, he's an orthodontist, but he lectures all over the world. He's a professor as well, and he invents appliances, braces, and all different things. So he lectures all over the world. And we would travel with him, and oh my God, the fabrics and the clothes in Spain and Italy and just everywhere were so gorgeous, but you couldn't even make them here because you couldn't find the fabric to sew them with.
Right.
And I think it was also on the cusp of like the big knitting boom that had happened, and sewing was just starting back up that hill. Because the year I launched, I think Merchant and Mills also launched, and Deer and Doe patterns.
Yeah.
Like there were all these indie sewing patterns that were also just starting out at the time. And so it was kind of this serendipitous adventure. And I would go to bed at night and I would picture ribbon and colors and just kind of manifested it. And then, yeah. And then this little space opened about 5 minutes from here in our University Circle area, Little Italy of Cleveland. And it was perfect. It was just like a size that was doable for me. And then we've grown since then. But yeah. So now I have all those things I always wanted and beautiful fabrics from Europe and, India and South America. And yeah, it's exciting.
I have so many questions for you. But first, first question that came up is, are you still in the same building that you were when you began?
I am. There was a little room. So it's an old schoolhouse. So as you can imagine, there's lots of rooms. And at the time, there were more boutiques in there. Now it's mostly like artist galleries and architects and a marketing firm or two. But I moved up the hall and I now have 3 rooms that are connected and I'm right on the front porch. And what's fun about it, well, it's in Little Italy, so of course it smells good all the time. But there's the church bells from Holy Rosary Church. So you kind of feel like you're in Italy and we're on a cobblestone street, which is fun. But we get all the influx of international people and visitors to the Cleveland Clinic and the art museum. And I just love it when people come in purposefully, like they find me and then they're like, oh, we're going to the art museum after this, or we're going to the Rock Hall. So I put myself on par with those big attractions in Cleveland. But it's nice because we do get a lot of visitors, but then we're a destination for like the Heights area. There's Shaker Heights and Cleveland Heights, which is just up the hill where I am right now. If they need thread or elastic or something, they don't need to travel far to one of the big box stores to get it. So, yeah,
nice.
Because we're a cool city. We don't have that. Yeah.
So those 3 rooms that you have, obviously you have fashion fabric and it's all like beautiful, amazing fashion fabric. And you have some quilting or maybe a great deal of quilting.
I have Tilda, which I love her. I love Tilda's things. So so the main room is apparel garment sewing. So I've got all the patterns on a wall. And then knits, double gauze, wool, corduroy, Liberty of London. I've got their Tanalons plus some of their silks. Oh my God, they're gorgeous. And then Merchant and Mills linens. What else? A bunch of Japanese fabrics that are yummy. And then in in the back, I call it the back room. It's not really a back room. It was, but now we use it for quilting cottons. I've got a big wall just of quilting cottons.
Mhm.
So Tilda Art Gallery, Cloud9, some birch. I need to think what else. A couple deer stellas because her things are kind of fun. And then notions and stuff. So whatever you might need, interfacing muslin, that kind of stuff's in there. But the room that you enter in from our front porch is hand sewing. So needlework, needle felting, hand embroidery, only hand embroidery, sashiko, Kogan, cross stitch, and then everything that you'd need for bag making. Lots of noodle head patterns,
Right.
and the dry oilcloth and fun strapping from Merchant and Mills and stuff like that. So
That sounds amazing. I have a quick question for you. So, dry oilcloth, is that the same as wax canvas? Is that different? Do you know?
that's a good question. It doesn't have, it's not like a laminate. It's not that shiny. And you can re-oil it, I think, to make it more waterproof. I don't know.
It
Somehow
sounds
out
very
there in the
similar.
universe, no, I don't know.
So the wax canvas that I've used, you can also recharge it with wax,
Oh,
and it isn't shiny or sticky.
no, yeah, this isn't. Yeah.
That's
I
interesting.
don't know. I'll have to, I'm writing a note.
Okay, excellent.
Waxed canvas.
So, what has surprised you about owning a fabric store?
The fact that I still get nervous going to work, I don't know. I think I'm like an introvert, extrovert kind of person.
Yeah.
Like I'm a little nervous talking to you, but I don't know. I get anxious because I'm afraid somebody's going to ask me something I don't know. And I don't like to teach because of that, I think, because I'm
Yeah.
self-taught. I never had, this summer was the first time I had real sewing lessons from the instructors at camp. So yeah. But it's funny because I surprise myself that I do know stuff when people ask me.
Right.
And that's like, I knew that.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
So you said you pet the fabric often. So like tell us about it, because I know that there are other people out there that would, this is like, some kind of a latent dream so tell us, like, I just imagine you with maybe a glass of wine or a cup of tea or coffee, and you're like petting the fabric and you're laying it over and you're looking at the drape and you're right.
Oh, yes.
Is that how it goes? And it's just like maybe there are
Oh,
butterflies.
every day we get the wine out. Well, we do get wine out. We have open sewing sessions. And we alternate mornings and evenings on Tuesdays, and they're free. But in the evening, we do get wine out. And maybe toward the holiday, we'll have some in the morning. We'll do little mimosa bellinis. Yeah, well, I think what started it was we had this faux fur, this bolt of faux fur, and I need to get it back because it's amazing. It feels like rabbit fur, but it's polyester, which yeah, it's plastic, I know. But it was so big, like it wouldn't fit on a shelf. And so we had it in a basket. And I swear to God, every child that came in was like, come in and just hug the bolt of fabric.
Right.
Yeah. And so then we just started calling, feeling it. We were just petting the fabric. But
Right.
yeah, because it's like, if you like it, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So what are your favorite things to sew? I'm in the garment section. Like, do you typically sew from patterns? Do you do any?
I do because okay, so I felt the need to wear stuff that I made because
Of course.
this is a Merchant and Mills. Yeah. So I like to sew easy things because, I got to get it done or it might not get done. So this is a Merchant and Mills. This is their, I don't know. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
The, that pre-quilted stuff that they have. Yeah, you've seen it.
Probably. I don't.
Yeah.
It looks like a double gauze. Is it a double gauze? But it's pre-quilted
I don't have glass. I've got my
sunglasses.
some they're prescriptions, so you can see it could be, but it's like a quilted. I think they call it a quilted cotton. It's just here. Let me get up close. Quilted.
Oh, yeah.
But it's one of their sweatshirt patterns. But I didn't use cuffs. I just folded it in. Oh, there's Liberty peeking out. That's what I like to use the Liberty for, is little fun presents for yourself. And then I used their cord because I didn't want to I thought it was dressier. Can you guys see this? I
Yeah.
put one of those little cord stops on it to cinch it in so you can bring it in. And then these pants, I'm going to get up on my chair.
I love it.
These are pajama pants, but I since made them out of nice linen. I just
Yeah.
wear them out. But I did draft these myself. So,
Mm.
yeah.
What about your shirt? Is that homemade as well?
No, that's from Madewell.
Delightful.
I could do a t-shirt if I want.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Though I made 100 acts of sewing because people, this is what surprises me. Okay, as much as I have this self-confidence thing, I'm not afraid to just try stuff. The
Mhm.
number of people that are so afraid to try to sew. And I don't know. I don't know. I've never used a rotary cutter. I don't know. And well, let's start. Let's trace the pattern because you might want to use it again or whatever. Oh, I don't know. It's like it's a pencil and tissue paper. I think you can do it. Like that's probably the biggest thing. The lack of self-confidence in the general public. So, but then there's the other extreme where somebody will come in and say, I've never sewed, but I'm going to a wedding on Saturday and I'm going to make this silk charmeuse dress. I don't have a pattern, but I'm just going to wing it. And I'm like, God love you. Do it.
Right.
So,
You never know what can happen.
yeah, I know, kind of crazy. But
So one of the things I hear so often from my students is a fear of cutting into precious fabric, right? Because fabric is expensive and it's hard to sometimes it's hard to make that first cut. And so
yeah,
like that will be the thing that stops them. Does that ever stop you?
no, no. I mean, if that's stopping, people make a muslin first or do a little practice. If
Yeah,
that's what's scary, but no,
nice.
no.
I love it. I imagine because it's sort of along those lines of right, you just have to jump in, right? And if you
Oh,
are working
yeah.
something that you love, like your chance of creating something that you love is going to be so much higher. If you're already working with a fabric that you adore the
Oh,
feel
I think so.
of.
A nicer fabric is way more forgiving than, and then if you do make a mistake, no one's looking at it because the fabric is nice. And if you look at stuff that you buy at the store, no, there's goofs all the way through. Like stuff doesn't line up or the buttonholes are wonky or
Yeah,
yeah.
give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said earlier that you hate rules. And I know that when we talked on the breakthroughs of sewing, you shared your process. And I believe if I remember correctly, this was back in April. So many of us start from different directions, right? Like I typically will start from a design aspect. Like I'll decide I want a dress that feels like this, looks like that. I'm typically a dress wearer, so that's usually what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'll start there and then I'll try to find fabric that will work with what I want. Occasionally, I'll buy the fabric first and have that be inspirational. And I think I recall you saying that you are often inspired by fabric first, which of course would make a ton of sense. That
Yeah.
that's true.
Yes. Yeah. Right now, I'm obsessed with feather whale corduroy, and I want to make a dress. Well, I wanted to make the dress for tomorrow night, but God, and I'm busy all day tomorrow. Um, no, but I got the corduroy, but I just have to find the right thing.
Right. Right. That
Yeah.
makes complete sense. Tell us what that corduroy was again.
The corduroy?
Yeah, that's
It's a feather whale corduroy. I think it's like a 21 whale. And it's a Merchant and Mills.
okay.
I need to get more of their colors. It's like this delicious mustard curry color.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really nice.
perfect for this time of year.
I know, and I've got this tomorrow night and Saturday. I could double duty because they're in different cities. I'm going to Pittsburgh. But yeah, don't tell anybody. But it's not gonna get made unless I stay up all night. Yeah.
Right.
I'm
And
a night. I'm a nights where I think.
are you? Is that typically when you're sewing for yourself?
Yeah, and I think it's because I feel like I have to get like real stuff done during the day,
Right.
and I only give myself that freedom to do what I want to do like after I have realized all my responsibilities. So yeah. Yeah.
I can understand that. I think I'm trying to shift that in my own business because I think that the more creative I am, the more, I mean, and my business is teaching, so it's
Yeah.
different than selling fabric, but it's not so different. Like your enthusiasm is what's going to sell what you are carrying, right? Like your
Oh yeah.
ability to be like, look at this beautiful thing I made out of it and how excited you are about it. And so I personally have been trying, and this is a constant try. It's a constant try to make this happen. But I keep thinking I want to really schedule in more time in my work hours
Yes.
to be creative because I think that's just going to fuel what I do. So,
Oh,
so I
Well,
think
yeah,
it's
because
cool.
you're playing with techniques that you want to, oh, does this work? How do you, like, and then you share that and teach people and they get it. I mean, they can feel your sense of enthusiasm. So
Right.
yeah, they want to come
So
back for more.
we're both getting permission right now to put that into it. Like that
Okay.
authentic work. That's part of
It
the work.
is. It is. But it needs habits and discipline and all that stuff, which,
It does.
yes.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So one of the themes I like to explore on the podcast is the idea of living vibrantly and living full of joy. And I would definitely say that you have a beautiful spark to you. So I love to share or have the guests share what ways they ensure joy and kind of a grounding or a peace in their everyday life. Like, for instance, to give you an idea where this is going, for me, one of the most important things that I can do in the day is I can do a morning routine. And that changes for me, and I try to keep it not too stringent because I also don't like rules. I have to keep it sort of flowy for myself. But I know that if I spend some time in meditation or journaling, some kind of mindfulness and some kind of movement before I start my day, the day goes so much more peacefully and more at ease. I wonder, do you have any rituals or practices like that that you do on a regular basis?
No.
It
I
just
no. I did for a year. I would the dog. Anyway, um um I worked out twice a week for a year with a trainer.
yeah,
That was hard. I mean, not that I mean, she was hard, but at that discipline at 7 in the morning, that
yeah,
was that was hard, but I think necessary. And I think I needed to do it again. I
yeah.
stopped for a bit. But yeah, because it gets you need to get up and not touch your phone, brush your teeth, make your coffee. Like don't even touch your phone. Like just keep the phone somewhere else and to get your day going so that it's your day and not somebody else's day. Um, I guess if that's a habit, that's what I do. Don't touch
For
the phone.
sure.
Yeah.
It's a huge habit because the phone is a time and life sucker, I think. I mean, there's so much beauty to the internet. There's so much beauty to our connection and our ability to be connected. But I think that particularly the phone, it can just, I don't know how many times, and even somebody who's trying to live very mindfully and have all these things in place, I don't know how many times I have had like an hour after I put my boy to bed before I want to go to bed, and I'm going to read, I'm going to watch this video that
Mhm.
has purpose. Like I'm purposely going to do something.
Yeah.
And I go to check something on my phone, and pretty soon it's like 11 o'clock. I'm like,
Yes, yes. No, it's hard.
it
It's hard
is.
to not do that. Like there was a day last week when I woke up and I wake up to the radio to NPR and my phone happened to be on the nightstand, which I don't normally keep it there. And it was like I had to stop myself. I'm like, no, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Just
Yeah.
leave it there. Go make coffee with the dog, like get the kids up, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's you need to, yeah, not do that.
So before we open this up to any questions those listening might have, the thing that I love to ask all of my guests is, what do you wish people knew deep in their hearts that you think maybe they don't know?
Wow. That's that they have agency over themselves
Hmm.
and what they do day to day. And that they can do more than they think they can. Not more like produce more, but that it's okay to be afraid and still do something anyway.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have this thing magnet on our kitchen doors metal, so it's our refrigerator essentially. For magnets, and it's a circle of like your comfort zone and the growth circles beyond that. And
Yeah.
so I look at that when I leave every day, and it's like, okay, scared, but that you have agency over what you choose to do and how you choose to live, even with all the demands that you have on you, you can still make beautiful things in your life beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Thank you, Nan.
you're welcome.
So, those of you who are here with us live, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Nan directly, it could be about fabric or you want to share some insight or some thoughts about things we talked about, feel free to post your question in the chat and we'll have you join us live if you'd like to. Again, Sybil did mention that there's the Modern Quilt Guild, so we're going to both check that out because
Yes, I
yeah,
want to check and see, make sure that's the one because if I were, that would be the one.
yeah,
Yeah,
more modern look to it.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
nice. And so while people might be formulating their questions, Nan, what are you working on right now? I mean, obviously not the corduroy dress for tomorrow
Not the
night.
corduroy dress. Um, oh, I know what I'm working on because the fabric's in the dryer. I put it in the wash last night. My niece owns a toy store here in town. It's the
Oh,
most amazing toy store. It's like the Apple store for children. Like this place is amazing. It's called S'il Play, SIL, like the French spelling, but PLAY. Um, and anyway, so she had asked me last week if I had a pattern or if I could make up some children's aprons for the holidays. She wanted to sell them in her store. So I picked out some really crazy things. And I do have a pattern. I need to post it and have it like be a freebie because I just made it up, but I just have to put it on Adobe and
yeah.
stick it somewhere on the website. But so that's what I was going to do this afternoon is whip up some kids aprons for her shop.
Very nice. What kind of fabrics are you using for those?
I picked out I have there's a couple Riley Blake Liberty Christmas prints that I got last year. It's funny because Christmas prints don't sell, but yeah, so I didn't get any new ones. Oh, I've got some Liberty lawn Christmas ones coming next week. So those are cool. I'm using the quilting cotton on the front and then some Essex linen on the back just to give it some. So they're two-sided. So if after the holidays they just want to wear them, but to make them fun, I got some little pom-pom to put on them.
Oh,
So they're cute. So I'll put those out. I'll take pictures of those and put them on Instagram. So I'm
very nice.
best on Instagram if people want to know where to find me. So
What's your handle on Instagram?
Bolt and Spool, BOLTANDSPOL. It's just at Bolt and Spool. I'll spell
So
that.
that was a little broken up
Yeah.
on this end. So I'm just going to say Bolt and Spool, BOLTANDSPOOL. Okay. So Bolt and Spool on Instagram and
Mm-hmm.
also on the
Yep.
website. And check them out. Check her out. Yeah, either
Yes.
place.
Yeah. And Facebook and Twitter, but I haven't Twittered, X'd, whatever. I don't know. What are you working on?
Oh, great question. So I have finally learned to some degree, although I just gave us permission earlier to work on creative projects during work hours and consider it work time.
Oh, good.
But I have finally learned to create programs that allow me to make things that I really love to wear. So then when I make samples or I work through the process, then I get something that I really love. So it's like this little,
Yeah.
again, right?
Good.
Yeah, so I have a series right now that's going called With Ease, and we're taking a basic pattern and then changing it into three different dresses. So I just worked through all the instructions for the final dress, which we learn next Saturday. And so I'm going to sew up a sample of it, hopefully today. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
And it has these big dramatic, and mine are going to be extra big and extra dramatic, like swashbuckling sleeves is what I call it.
Oh,
It's actually a bishop sleeve. And of course, if you've been following me for any time, I work almost exclusively with knit. So I'm interested. I'm going to ask you a knit question after this.
okay.
Um, so it's got big billowy bishop sleeves, but it's got
Yeah.
a fitted dress. And so I've worked with this set before, and I know that I love the sleeves out of a really drapey like rayon because
Oh, yeah.
they're not really voluminous, but they have a lot of drama. But I don't want the dress in that exact weight of fabric.
Mhm.
And so I actually found a jersey that was thicker, but in the same exact colorway for the base of it. And then the sleeves are the exact same color, but they're in a much lighter. I
Ooh.
thought, oh, this is going to be so much fun. So I can't wait to kind of see.
Oh, that's cool. Yes. Are there cuffs? Like, are there like
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yep. So I like having a big long cuff as well. So like maybe a 7-inch cuff and then having this.
Oh, cool.
Oh, it's so
So
fun.
cool. Okay. For that.
Tell me about the knits that you carry. What are your favorite knits that you carry at the store?
So
Hmm.
I'm like a newer knit sewist. I think we have some bamboo.
Mhm.
And that's really fun and drapey. And I got a couple of Liberty knits, but they didn't have very much stretch
Stretch.
to them. So I think I only have that. I have just one colorway in that knit. But I like cotton, just for tops. Like if you use it for bottoms, like the knees stick out, like there's not much recovery if you use them for bottoms, unless they've got some decent spandex in them.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
Very.
yeah.
So
But yeah,
The Liberty
oh, and
knits,
Pontes are nice.
those are very fun. The Liberty knits that you carry, are they printed? I'm guessing. Does Liberty
Yeah,
do
I just have
it?
one. Yeah, and I can't find them. I don't know if they stopped because they used to have corduroys so that I had. Um, and I should ask her, email them and ask. So,
So,
but yeah, they're printed.
right, right. Nan, your internet just cut out on us just for a moment again. So you said they used to have corduroy, but you can't find them now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they haven't had them on their platform lately. So,
I wonder if the Liberty knit that is printed is more stable because obviously whenever you stretch out a print of a knit, it starts to distort a little bit. So
yes.
see Liberty being like, we're not going to accept
No,
that
right,
kind of thing.
exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, if you want to check out Nan's website, it's bolt.com. Nan, it was wonderful to have you here with me today.
Thank you, dears.
And thank
Thank
you
you.
for all of those who have joined us.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.